It's a new day. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. So Uranus is conjuncting Mars, and I was just, oh, this is gorgeous. I was just talking to. I got a new deck today. Ramblin' Mike is someone who I guess popped up on my feed a minute ago. Oh, girl, a bookmark. Thank you. And well, what page is this? Who popped up on my feed a while ago? I watch him sometimes. He gives away decks and stuff. And one month he was giving away the Tarot Apocalypsis and the Tarot Illuminati Tarot Apocalypsis. It's not anything that I necessarily really ever looked at, but he said that this one was like based in religion and mythology and things like that. And I was like, oh, that is right up my alley. So I got it. Inuit shamanism is where the bookmark was. The Hermit, guidance from a spiritual source, seeking spiritual insight or wisdom, going within and reflecting to gain answers, being a guide for others, illumination in the darkness, going through a time of difficulty or darkness in order to achieve greater understanding, helping others with one's knowledge, the seeds of wisdom, introversion, meditation, negatively aspected, feeling isolated from others, being unable to find answers, feeling blind and ignorant in a situation, ignoring a spiritual calling, refusing guidance. That's the Hermit. And we're just going to see what's up. Mars and Uranus are conjuncting today. And when I was first getting, I'm putting the title card in here, even though it's not necessarily a title card, but it's going in. There were 9 of pennies. I'm going to be reading. Oh, there's a cheetah on this 9 of. Oh my gosh. So last night I was watching a video. It was Rob's Tarot. Let's see what he's about. Russell and Ron's been talking about him. So I was like, I'll check him out. And he was using the wild unknown. Now, the Hermit came out in reverse, which was interesting because the bookmark was on the page about the Hermit. But he was talking about the magician in the wild unknown, which is a cheetah that has its paw on the pinnacle. And in this 9 of Pentacles, the cheetah's paws are on that pinnacle. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I just got these. We'll see. Let's see what's up. Let's see what comes out. Anyway, can I complete a thought? When I first got into astrology, or when I was getting into astrology, I can't remember if it was Shonda Rhimes or Bohemian Stars and Ocean Heart Readings or someone else. But with Uranus, I remember someone was telling the story of like the energy of Uranus would be like, let's say that you've been wanting to move and you need to move, but you have 1,000,001 or 1,001 reasons and excuses why you can't do it. Well, one day, through no one's fault, your apartment burns down. Your insurance covers it. And so now you don't have a place, you have money, and you have no reason to not move. Like, that's an energy of Uranus. And it's interesting because I feel like we've been in this space where like, it's literally like things can't get any worse. If things get any worse, the whole system breaks and it resets. Critical failure, global catastrophe. Not necessarily, but we can't. There's no lower than this. Only way is up. And Uranus in Taurus. Ooh, the 7 of Wands. Let's see. Let's look at this beauty. This 7 of Wands is interesting. Is this Moses? And was it the Egyptians or the Pharisees? Were they the same thing? I think that's Moses standing above the Egyptians. And I read about Moses a minute ago and how he didn't make it to the promised land because of an act of, I don't want to say chauvinism, but he was irritated, he was frustrated, and he was super extra trying to make a point. And God was like, see, I didn't even tell you to do all that. And he died. I think he got to see it, but he didn't make it there. And he was told to, like, he was like, God, your people are getting weary. They're wondering if we'll ever make it to the promised land. Now, they should have been in the promise. It took them 40 extra years to get to the promised land because when they had the opportunity to go there, they didn't take it, basically. And so they endured a 40-year cycle of wandering the desert before they made it back. And it was getting close to the end of that period. Now, I don't know if they knew it would be 40 years, so they probably didn't know when it was going to happen. It just ended up working out to be 40 years. Hindsight 2020. And and he was like, your people grow weary and their faith is waning. And God was like, okay, go out there, tap or touch the rod to the rock, and water will pour forth. That's what he said, dude. And Moses went out there. He was like, oh, ye of little faith. Y'all people coming after me? Like, I ain't out here in the wilderness with y'all. This is what God got to say. And he struck the rock with the rod, and water came gushing forth. And that's, God was like, see, like, why'd you have to go and do all that? And he died before he made it, but at least he saw it, right? Anyway, Moses. But it's almost like facing, in some ways, what we have to lose if we don't do what it is that we need to do. And also, it puts us in an energy of no excuses, right? I feel like Pluto is more an energy that will, like, play that long game, that slow game. It'll just, like, wait until you say uncle. Uranus is like, nah, I'm ending this game right now. And Mars is conjuncting it in Taurus. Taurus is a very sensual, earth-based energy. It's the experience and all aspects of the experience, basically. Just like Scorpio is that heavy, like, spiritual, mystical experience. It's like everything spiritual. Taurus is everything physical. Scorpio is the spiritual senses. Taurus is the physical senses. And I mean, I guess if the world is changing, then Taurus would be the most world energy because it's fixed Earth. Earth is fixed. Fixed Earth, perfect. Oh, that's a whole bunch, but I'll take the Seven of Pentacles because that was at the top. So far we got 7-7. There's actually, so there's an 8th Pentacle reflected in the water. And it looks like there's a cup or a bucket that's being used to fill, like the person is filling a bucket with water. But it's like it's pouring out though. And so there's this hidden pinnacle submerged. It's almost like within the realm of emotions. It's that scorpionic energy. There's an 8th pinnacle, 7 of Pentacles. This is the 3rd decan of Taurus. So, even though the conjunction is happening in the 1st decan of Taurus. um, but it's like it's hidden in Scorpio territory. And that's a land that the collective never dare go, girl. That's we locked that stuff up for a reason. But we can't go any further without that. And this is what everything's been leading to. Next is the sun, and that's where we're going to end it. I was going to see if another 7 came out. Now, interestingly enough, the sun doesn't look like Ra. Also interesting is that the zodiac starts with Aries and ends with Taurus. If we go counterclockwise. No, that's clockwise if we go clockwise. Or it could start with Taurus and end at Aries. But I'm seeing starts at Aries, ends in Taurus. It also, I guess he's emerging from an egg. Or is that the Earth or a moon? There's a stairway leading to the sun. This reminds me of, I think, Empire of the Sun. I don't know if that's the song or the band. I can't remember. But there's a retrograde energy here because it moves backwards through the zodiac. The sun is holding a sword, but also holding a torch. And the illuminating power of truth, capital T truth, or even the illuminating power of a personal truth, honestly. And I said, this is Scorpio territory. This is bringing it to the light to set it right. This is us. It's like to get to that promised land, we have to go down there and we have to make things right. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords. This is like the most tranquil Four of Swords. This is like cuddled up with a furry, warm animal. There's a letter written here. There's this well off looking woman and a little fire. Now, the Four of Swords, this is what we have to gain, which is that peace. It's basically a system that's not as competitive and chaotic, and it doesn't separate you from yourself as much as the old one did, basically, through all of the different stresses and things like that that it puts you under. So let's go through these, shall we? Oh, look, I opened right up to the Seven of Pentacles, but I'll read the Seven of Pentacles first then. Sure, why not? Why not? I don't know what all I'm gonna read, because these got a lot of words. A lot of words. I cut my nails, all of them besides my pinky, because I was in the middle of cutting them and I got a phone call. It's funny. So, with steady pace and gentle hand, your course may be guided. With certainty of success, there is no need to rush forth loudly, to fight for power, or to compete for prestige. These do not matter to the buffalo or the rice, to the falling rains or the waiting earth. Only the great cycles and time decide the progress of the slow harvest. For there are many more gratifying things on this earth than those that are gained instantly. What worth are they? Pause to listen to the seeds pushing through the earth and the leaves opening. Listen to the sound of the march of time and know that what has been set in motion is inevitable. Haste will only serve to weaken it. I am the patient one and the slow treader, the calming word that seeks to give you peace in a hurried world, the breath of gentleness that calls you back to the ways your kind once knew, the ways of the harvest and the rains, when there was a time for everything and all was done at the right moment. Walk by my side and know the mysteries of measured success. That's interesting because I was just telling one of my friends, it's like I feel like I'm waiting for the world to catch up. Honestly. And so it's been a minute now, especially around like full moons or new moons. It's like I'll still be browsing YouTube and there'll be people like, oof, like emotions or this, or even like people in my personal life, some of them. They're like, oof, like emotions or this or that's happening, everything is crazy, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's not my experience. I don't know what the collective is going through right now. Um, I kind of feel like I went through it on the front end and anchored myself so that we would collectively make the decisions that we need to make to reach the point that we need to reach to not have like global catastrophe meltdown. It's like we don't need a pandemic and natural disasters and war for resources that are dwindling like literally all over the place. Like this is one of those instances where competition would actually hurt us even more, but competition would be the default sort of like, oh, we're running out, like better go take someone else's. And it's like, girl, if all they got is 2 crumbs and a penny, it's like, yeah, that's 2 more crumbs and a penny more than what we have, but it would actually benefit us more to come into a space of cooperation. Because, if you put your crumbs together and your penny together and your knowledge and what you have that doesn't necessarily hold physical pinnacle value, and we accumulated better together, basically. In the card image, a water buffalo carries the first of the season's rice harvest slowly through the waterlogged rice paddies of Cambodia. On his back, a small boy sits, maintaining the balance of the yoke on which the precious crops are carefully balanced. Okay, that's interesting. The crops are the pinnacles. I didn't even catch that. So the boy is balancing a yoke, and Moses is holding up the staff. Now, one of the staves is curled upwards. The other one, I'll say downwards, but it's more like it's pointing outward on earth as it is in heaven. So, since it's not pointed down, it's almost like it limits the chain of causality, of chain of cause and effect, almost like it severs it from the world below or gives more space for the world above. See, he's holding that staff, and the little boy holding the yoke. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Excuse me. His diligent attention to them and the slow movement of the buffalo will ensure that they reach their destination safely. An old man walks beside the buffalo. His affection for this creature is obvious as he rests a gentle hand on its cheek and lays his head upon it. He may be speaking to the buffalo, encouraging it, praising it, guiding it onwards. With such care and gentleness, the buffalo will surely make steady progress. If the man spurred it to be quicker by pushing, pulling, or beating it, then it would undoubtedly risk the precious cargo. I just randomly picked that paragraph out because there's a lot of text. As with the Seven of Pentacles, such an understanding cannot be rushed. The monsoon rains would fall when they fell. The flood waters would recede when they receded. Crops would grow when they grew. To try to rush the sowing or the reaping would devastate the crop. The metaphor of agriculture also reminds us that some things are not a competition with others, and that to make them so will lead to eventual loss or poor quality results. Although a slow, gentle pace may be frustrating, we must try to remove our need for instant gratification and attend to our task with diligence and patience. The revelation here says slow progress, results assured, but Results assured, but not for some time. Patience, diligence, hard work beginning to pay off. Completion yet to come. A gentle and careful approach is required. A period of waiting, a period of gestating and growing. Good quality as a result of careful checking. Love that. Because that came out a minute ago. Instant gratification versus delayed satisfaction. And again, Earth is slow, and people are slower. It seems sometimes. It's like everything has already been done. Everything has already been set in motion, but it's like it just hasn't played out yet, or it's in the process of playing out. And as it's playing out, there are going to be things that we believe or used to believe that are going to be called into question. There are going to be paths that we used to think led somewhere that we may discover don't lead where it is that we initially thought. And I feel like it's so important for us to see how we ended up in this position so that we don't do it again. Because I like a transit is a transit, an age is an age. Nothing really defines anything when it comes to humanity. Because there are people who break molds all over the place. And again, like if you look at the age of Pisces from uh like a fundamental perspective, it shouldn't have been everything that it was. Even if you look at like, they say we were when Saturn and Jupiter were conjuncting in Earth signs for the past however long, hundreds of years, I believe, since the start of the Industrial Revolution. It's like, but Earth is a nurturing, caring element. We still shouldn't have ended up here. And greed and selfishness aren't like that's not a transit. That's not a star in the sky or a sign or a house or whatever. That's a human thing, and you can inject that anywhere, and that energy can foul anything. Age of Aquarius is no different if we don't do anything different. And so it's like we're in this space of, and I guess it's Uranian or Uranian. Yeah, I feel like it's Uranus and Taurus for some reason, of like really seeing how bad it could be. And what it's doing is it's pressuring us to choose something different. It's encouraging us to shift in a different direction, to move in a different direction. And again, we can choose to not. I feel like sometimes we can be so attached to habits and cycles or hurt and pain that we don't really want resolution. And for those who don't, maybe they'll inherit a world where there is no resolution and the rest of us can get some peace. I remember when I was like, I wish I could just like split a timeline. just split it right here. So I was like, oh gosh. And I went looking in dreams, girl. And I couldn't do it. Because I remember in that dream, it was a mountain. There was a mountain that I had to go to. And I made it. I was like in a building, and I would make it as far as the parking lot before I would wake up. And like there was this, oh, Mercury is in the pre-shadow. No, I always get tongue twisted. It's fine. At the beginning of the dream, it's like I was stepping off of an elevator. And the first time I asked somebody, like, I'm looking to, like, I need to split a timeline, girl, because the one that I want and the one that I hear so many of these spiritual people talk about are not the same. And I don't accept that to move forward, we have to regress. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't accept that I got to go off the grid and technology is going to crumble and society is going to fall apart just to get some peace or just to move forward in the right direction. Now, for some people, if that's what they want to choose to align to, that's fine for them. They can have that, but I refuse to accept that. So I'm looking on how to split a timeline, please. And it was like, first of all, they were talking in like Chinese. So the three languages that I dream in sometimes first was Chinese, then Japanese, and now sometimes French. Now I've taken Chinese. I took Chinese for a semester in high school, and I've taken up to intermediate Japanese. Up to intermediate Japanese. That's what I said. Yeah, I've never taken French. So why French started popping up as a language, I don't know. It doesn't happen super often, but it's happened. I remember in one dream, the person was talking. I was like, "Oh, I don't speak Spanish. Sorry," and she got mad. And I was like, "Oh, that ain't Spanish. Like, that's French." I was like, "Oh, I don't speak French either." And she was at least happy that I knew it was French, but I still didn't understand what she said. Anyway, the only thing that I could make out from what the person was saying was mountain. And so I was leaving. It was like whatever this place was. And there was a person that I saw in a seating area. And he tried to distract me. He was cute. But I was like, girl, I got a mountain to get to. I ain't got time for this. So I leave and I'm in the parking lot and the dude is outside, still trying to distract me or whatever. And I see the mountain in the distance and I start to head in that direction. It's like it was a pretty big mountain, but it was like one of those where even though it is as big as it is, like it's still quite a ways away. And I'm like, how am I gonna get there? I guess I should just start walking. I couldn't leave the parking lot. I woke back up at the elevator. And I tried quite a few times to get to that mountain. And every time I would like get to the parking lot, I would wake back up at the elevator. I was like, okay, well, obviously this isn't working. For whatever reason, can't get to the mountain anymore. So I guess I just have to do whatever. And then after I woke up, I was like, I don't have to worry about anything that drastic or whatever, because as long as I continue to believe and align with what it is that I see for the collective, then that's going to be my experience. I don't have to worry about separating timelines or doing whatever. All I have to do is maintain what I'm maintaining. It's almost like being the sun for the earth in some way. Gravitationally locking it through the strength of the power, through the strength and power and magnitude of your light. And they say that, one person in their power is quite a thing. Because our voices are lessened in the crowd of the Hierophant. Anyway, why did it bring that dream to mind? Why was I talking about that? I don't know. I don't remember why I started talking about that. Oh, maybe because how things are playing out. I don't know. So anyway, I feel like I'm in a space of just waiting for the world to catch up. I don't remember fully where I was going with that. Excuse me. Now on the Moses. Let my people go. Is that I don't remember the song. The leader stands tall and proud above his people. Yet when his weight bears down upon them, when his word crushes and threatens, When his hand no longer protects but wounds, we must stand against him. We may be weak, we may be burdened and filled with fear. We may challenge the majority, yet it only takes a single grain to tip the scales. The cowards say that one alone cannot stand. But walk the path over the burning mountains with me, and I shall show you how to fight the battle of the freedom fighter and rebel, how to lift up the oppressed and give voice to the unspoken. I shall show you how to topple a kingdom and destroy the bonds of slavery. Those who would disparage and curse you, I shall pit against your strength alone, and you shall know the power of revolution. This road you walk is one upon which you are low and unworthy, upon which you are trampled and thrown down. But from the pain of the hot sand, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain. What more can they do? Pain is pain, sorrow is sorrow. It can only give rise to a refusal to accept it again. Take up your weapons, warrior. Take up your strength and all the many wrongs done to you. They are your sword and your shield. They shall strike down your oppressors and protect you. No battle is truly lost if you will its success. Sorry. Girl, that's no. Yeah, this is I was like, I just saw the Six of Pentacles. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I read the seven. Following the victory of the Six of Wands, we come to the seven to be reminded that revolution will always come. It is not many steps for a glorious leader to become an oppressor. And in the seven, somebody takes a stand against oppression and fights for liberty. The person taking on this role is usually an underdog, someone at a disadvantage and fighting against almost impossible odds. That which they fight against is ingrained and systemic, deeply wounding and controlling. There are many others who are unable to fight for themselves, looking to the figure of the Seven of Wands to fight on their behalf. In this way, the Seven of Wands represents a freedom fighter, a rebel for a good cause, a campaigner, a protester, and somebody fighting because there is no other choice. Those who are given no way out of a fight often fight the hardest. We're just going to walk through this. Moses, here he is. Moses frequently expressed doubt that Pharaoh would listen to his appeal and that his people would believe him, demonstrating the seeming futility of the task that was put before him. So God gave his brother Aaron's. I just saw the name Aaron too. Was that last night or this morning? It had to be last night. Because I wasn't up for too long this morning. I woke up at like 12 something. I don't remember why. Well, I remember seeing the name Aaron and being like, that's so like random. Like Aaron is such a random name. And I remember looking at it like, why am I like looking at this? Like, why am I paying attention to this? Why is this like jumping out at me? And it was on some like random video on YouTube. I'm like, I'm not watching this. But here's the name Aaron again. Okay. Goodness. Well, oh gosh. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Like sometimes I just like randomly for a moment fixate on something and be so confused. I'm like, why am I like paying this much attention to this? Like this doesn't mean anything to me. And then like later, I'm like, oh, wow, that's weird. I was just randomly fixating on this like yesterday or earlier today, and now here it is again. Maybe I should start paying attention to those. I don't know. Anyway, Moses frequently expressed doubt that Pharaoh would listen to his appeal and that his people would believe him, demonstrating the seeming futility of the task that was just put before him. So God gave his brother Aaron's staff a miraculous power that would show that Moses had been sent by God. It could turn into a snake. Excuse me. The two pleaded with Pharaoh for the freedom of the Israelites. When Moses demonstrated the miracle to Pharaoh, the Egyptian magicians also threw down their staffs in magic, but Aaron's staff consumed them. The card image shows Moses bearing this miraculous staff, the Egyptian sorcerers reacting to it. Some try to draw down their own magic, some look angry and are readying for a fight, another looks amazed. Those who oppress often don't expect to be fought against, taking for granted their power. This in itself can be enough of an advantage for the one who is fighting to make a difference. And that has to be the one in the back. Cause I'm like, oh no, no, no. This is the one that's amazed. I guess. He's look, it's this dude right here. I'm trying to like hold this so you can see it. It's that dude right there. He's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? He like so extra. I mean, I guess I would be too if a snake or if a rod just turned into a snake. I like that the Pharaoh's magicians tried to combat his magic with their own, but his magic consumed theirs. It's like, no. Better days are coming, friends. There's no choice. Like we can't like things can't get worse. If things get worse, the system breaks. It falls apart. It's like it just no. It won't be cute. Oh, that's what I was like. Something about that staff. I was talking about how Moses was told to strike the rock with his staff, and that water would pour forth, and that would be the miracle that reignites the faith of the Israelites. Here was the story of the miracle that was used on the Pharaoh, and this is interesting because here are two instances with Moses, a staff, and a miracle. The first time resulted in a fight, it resulted in combat. So, from that perspective, it could be understandable that Moses would assume a similar stance the second time. But the second time, that's not how it was supposed to go. And even the first time the miracle happened, Moses didn't know that the court magicians were going to come in and that they would have a snake fight. Oh, goodness. Can y'all hear her? He didn't know that that would be the case. And it feels like it was like an innocent expression of look at this miracle that God is making happen. God is letting you know, Pharaoh, king that you are, that it's time for his people to be let go. But the second time, he's like, oh, like Yahoo would doubt me and question me and God, not just me, but Yahoo would come at my door, come to my tent, me who's also wandering out in the wilderness with y'all. Like, look at this. And smack the rock with the staff. Water gushed forth and it reignited the people's faith, girl. But God behind closed doors was like, Moses, I didn't tell you to do that. Like, you ain't even have to do all that. Like, what was all of that for? That's where that ego kind of sort of comes in a little bit with the spiritual endeavors. And that's what happens, I guess, when we get more in ourselves rather than um, like what we're going for. And it did say that it is not long from, where is it? From like a fearless leader to an oppressor. Like there are not that many steps between. Where was it? But that's how it can happen. Here it is. It is not many steps for a glorious leader to become an oppressor. And in the seven, somebody takes a stand against oppression and fights for liberty. Anyway, let's continue. Moses was written about extensively, and these are many representations of his personality and commentaries on his life. Two of the most striking are those of Josephus, who portrayed him using the same literary techniques used to portray Greek heroes, and Philo, who portrayed him as a Platonic philosopher king. In the Midrash, he is said to have undertaken another battle on behalf of the Israelites. He ascended to heaven to receive the Torah, for which he battled angels. Another Midrashic text states that Moses grew horns in order to fight the angels, and God watched the fight and rejoiced greatly at how the lamb was battling the lion. Here, Moses is presented as the gentle lamb, battling against a creature far greater in strength and prowess. The Seven of Wands shows us somebody at a disadvantage battling against overwhelming odds. Sometimes the thing being fought is external to us: injustice, bullying, unacceptable treatment of physical limitations. And sometimes its source is found within us. That's interesting because there was another story of a man who wrestled with an angel for like a whole night. And the city that came from the place where that happened, I don't remember who that was, but I know I've read it because it came up at one point. And it's also interesting because that was the energy of the Five of Swords when I did the angel spread. And it wasn't necessarily wrestling against angels. It was this energy of like holding light, even though it could be so easy to feel that God and spirit has forgotten or turned its back on you, but not being made bitter because of that, not turning and cursing God and angels and spirit and the light because you feel that you've been abandoned or betrayed, but deciding to hold that light anyway. Basically becoming the light that had fled from the world in your own personal life. And that's not easy to do. It's made easier when that's the narrative, I guess, that you write. It's not narrative. It's made easier with practice. It's made easier with learning to trust and believe and learning to strengthen your discernment and your intuition and learning to come into your power in a way that doesn't compromise it, like stepping into the fullness of your power. And again, what did I say about being the sign that holds the earth in place? Yeah, that was the angel spread. I think it's in a Build With Me playlist. If it's not in the Build With Me playlist, it should be. I'm pretty sure I made a playlist. Because and I talked about that last time I saw the Five of Swords. I was like, I remember I saw the Five of Swords a while ago. And it's this energy, I think it was in the Vice Versus. It's this energy of like, it would be so understandable if we chose not to fight, or if we chose to give up, or if we chose to cope or distract ourselves. But this is a space where we actually need to stand up. And I think that was the Ariadne was the card that came out, because in Ariadne, again, she challenged Athena to a sewing competition. She challenged a god. A mortal challenged a god and won. And, Greek gods were human. So she got petty and jealous and mad, and she tore up the tapestry that Ariadne poured her heart and soul into. It took all of her to best the god who was the best at that. And when the god tore it up, she lost her will to live. And, then Athena felt bad and she turned her into a spider so that she wouldn't die, basically. And I just saw, I've been watching the Action Lab a little bit, the science side of YouTube. And he was like testing spider silk, and I was like, well, there's a little another synchronicity. So all the time I spend watching seemingly pointless YouTube videos, they end up turning into little syncs. We're always on the path, and the direction of that path is ever growing and changing and evolving, and it leads wherever we want it to, basically. Revelation here is standing up for oneself, fighting against overwhelming odds, valor and courage in the face of adversity, standing up for others, being a voice for those who have none, fighting against injustice, sticking to one's principles, a freedom fighter, rebellion for a worthy cause, having nothing to lose and everything to gain, demonstrating one's strength and will against the majority. Last but not least, oh wait, I guess I'll read the Four of Swords. But now we go into the Sun card. There's the Hangman. Who dis? The Sun Dance of the North American Plains Nations. Oh my gosh, not a Sun Dance. I just saw, who was it, Chief Walking Bear? I forget his name. But there's a video I started watching months ago. And I got on my other channel and it popped up. And it hasn't popped up in my recommended on that channel, or I haven't seen those videos in a minute. But I was like, for this to pop up, it means something. And it was already partway through the video. And I was like, okay, so maybe something within the last minute I'm supposed to see. And then here's the Chief Walking Bear, Sundance, and the Hangman. Oh, snap. And he talked about that. He said that something about the ropes. And he was told to go to a tree 4 times. And on the 4th time to run back. And that they would catch him when he got there. And he said that he went to the tree. No, this was about some other stuff, because he said he asked somebody for some things that they didn't have, and then somebody asked him for some things that he didn't have, but turns out he had them. He just didn't know he had them. Again, I'm like trying to piece and parse this together, because it started in the middle of the story that he was telling about one of the Sundance rituals. And he said so going back to the tree, on the 4th one back, he started to run, but something told him to dance back. And so he danced back instead of running back. And then it's like he said that I guess the ropes were getting tighter and he could see his skin stretching and the pain was becoming unbearable. And then a great eagle came and basically freed him from his burden. And I think it did something else too, but it basically cut the ropes and he was free. I don't know why it reminded me. Oh, well, yeah, because Sundance. Like, yeah, that's how I got there. Okay. I was like, where am I going with this? What's happening? And the eagles, I know in the wild unknown animal spirits, the eagle is sitting on top of the sun. And here's the sun. But maybe this is Ra. It just don't look like a Ra that I've seen. No, it's not. It's the Roman cult of Mithras. Okay. I was like, not putting Ra on the sun card? That's an interesting choice. Maybe that would have been like florals in spring, a little bit too on the nose. So the Roman cult of Mithras. Open your eyes, mortal, and they will be blinded. Oh, that was sorry. I was like, wait, I've seen Open Your Eyes before. That was something different. Sorry. That was on the King of Pentacles, and it's Vishnu. He came out earlier. Open your eyes, mortal, and they will be blinded. Keep them closed, and you shall surely die. You cannot live without light, not light from the stars, from the moon, or even the sun, but pure and holy light, white hot and scourging, fiery truth light from the realms beyond the sun. It is from here that all truth comes, and it is here from which your soul descended into birth, trapped in that rock of a world, a womb tomb, in which you will truly die without my salvation. I am the revelation of the universe in its glory. I am the earth shaker, bull tamer, equinox pusher, Where I step, I turn. No, where I step, I burn the life in my path, yet all grows beneath me. I reveal myself to you, and the sevenfold rays of light illuminate you, that I might bid you to take the first step of the ladder that will lead you to the truth beyond truth. What do you say? Seven rays, what? Seven of wands. Well, seven and fire energy. Seven of pentacles. And then the sun. Seven, seven, sun. And the sun mentions the seven. There's the third seven I was hoping for. I was like, oh, the sun. Like, the sun is gorgeous, but it's not another seven. Almost hit jackpot, but you end up with the sun. Who's upset with ending with the sun instead of a jackpot? Hello? Girl, get it together, Patrick. Okay. I'm gonna read that part again because that tickled me. That tickled me. I reveal myself to you, and the sevenfold rays of light illuminate you, that I might bid you to take the first step of the ladder that will lead you to the truth beyond truth. I make open to you the doorway of the temple that you might descend into its starry cave, and in the darkness see the mysteries illuminated. I destroy the force that holds your soul here, striking away the chains that bind you. Oh, hey, that's why we're looking at the Hanged Man. Okay. I love when things come together like this because it's like I'm not just rambling. Now I am, but I may burn you. You may turn your face from my light, but you will soon know that you are my soldier, and you will share a feast with your brothers of the sun in my name. Let all elements of earth, air, and rushing fire be obedient unto me. I am the mighty one who possesses immortal fire. I am the one, oh, fire, the burning bush, Moses. I am the one who begets and destroys. Come forth and follow, for I am the moment of revelation, the mystery that is revealed at the end of all, and that which is found in the center of all. What further then shall I say? This is mystery. What further then shall I say? You foreign priest and partner of Mithra, you will worship Mithra alone as the sun, whose light penetrates and illuminates as you imagine the secret shrines. The sun may convey small mysteries of the everyday world, but also the deeper mysteries of the soul, initiation, revelation, and illumination. While every major arcana card initiates the reader into a mystery, the sun represents the moment in which illumination occurs, when mystery is revealed. It is the awe-inspiring, wondrous realization that is initiation's aim, which was physically represented in many mystery initiations in the Greco-Roman world by an unveiling/revealing of the cult icon, of a cult icon. This icon was often an image of the god to whom the cult was dedicated, but may also have been an item that was symbolic of the mystery being conveyed, as in the rites of you. Why is Julius? Hold up, wait. Ulysses? See the high priestess. We ain't going back to the high priestess, girl. The cult of Mithras had a strong focus on planetary symbolism and foundations in Neoplatonist philosophy. Its 7 grades of initiation were each associated with one of the 7 classical planets, as shown by a fresco. There's another one. Sync. As shown by a fresco found beneath the church of Santa Prisca, Rome. And we know that they represented an upwards ascension depicted in the Mithraeum of Felicissimus at Ostia, which showed the symbols of the 7 planets in a ladder ascending upwards. This series of initiations for cult members suggests a focus on spiritual evolution and the continued process of realization and illumination. The early Christian theologian, Origen, wrote of the link between the cult of Mithras and Plato's philosophy of the birth and ascension of the soul through the planets, giving us an insight into the wealth of symbolism for the soul's illumination found in the cult. He identified 2 heavenly spheres in Mithraic belief, one fixed and the other of the planets, through which souls ascended on a road with 7 gates and a final gate at the summit, which would be the 8th. That's the first time 8 has appeared in all of the 7 speak. And remember, the 8th pinnacle reflected in the water here, where we have the 7 above. See, I told y'all that was Scorpio territory, and talking about all this occult stuff, Scorpio territory. I knew I was. Anyway. Check that ego, Patrick. Okay, girl. I'm just playing, y'all. He identified the 2 heavenly spheres in Mithraic belief, one fixed and the other of the planets, through which souls ascended on a road with 7 gates and a final gate at the summit. The Emperor Julian also wrote of the mysteries by which Mithras leads souls back again to the courts of light. These initiations through the planetary gates refine the soul of the initiate until they reach the final gate. This iconography of the soul's ascension is akin to that of Mithras' ascension in the rock birth, figures found in many cult temples, in which Mithras is represented as being born from a rock with both arms upraised. This rock, like the Mithraeum and cave, represents the world. It seems that the Mithrists believed in a mundane world of shadow and illusion, a cosmic world of planets in which could be found the sun, and the hypercosmic world of truth in which could be found the hypercosmic sun. Scenes from various Mithrai depict both Mithras and Sol/Helios together, which seems odd if we assume that Mithras is the sun god. Sol and Helios were the gods of the sun in Roman and Greek mythology. It is suggested that this is because the Mithrists believed in 2 sun gods. Mithras saw Sol/Helios as the visible sun, and Mithras as the hypercosmic sun located in the Hyper-Oranios topos, the place beyond the fixed stars, a realm described in Plato's Phaedrus. In this threefold cosmology, the moon ruled over the lowest realm, Earth, and served as a mediator between this world and the cosmic and hypercosmic worlds. Further, the moon was a force by which the soul achieved birth, descent. This leads to one of the most important symbols of the cult of Mithras, the bull slaying scene, in which Mithras stabs the neck of a bull. It was this image that was found in the innermost part of the Mithraeum, so is likely to have been the one revealed during initiation. With the understanding that the moon was the force that brought souls to birth, therefore confining them to the mundane world, Porphyry shows us that the moon is symbolized by a bull. Girl, can I read? This is interesting because the moon rules emotions, right? And humans are very emotional creatures, and sometimes our emotions can get the best of us. Anyway, to the moon also, as presiding over birth, they gave the name of bee, especially since the moon is a bull and the moon culminates in the bull, and bees are bull begotten. And souls, when they come to birth, are bull begotten. The moon is exalted in Taurus. Oh, gosh. And Taurus is the bull. And the moon is in Taurus right now. No, wait, is it in Taurus yet? Where my phone at? Where's my phone at? Hey Siri, where are you?
I'm over here.
Oh, here he is. That's like 90% of my conversations with Siri, honestly. I want to check and see what it said. Where the moon is? Moon is exalted in Taurus. The moon is a bull bee. I don't know why. No, the moon is still in Aries right now. Six degrees. So they're within a degree of conjuncting right now. Today is the 19th. Why did I think today was the I thought today was the 20th, girl. Because I went to bed today. And I was like, oh, so when I wake up, it'll be the 20th. Girl, I must have been real tired. I must have been real tired. So it's gonna shift into Taurus. Let's see. I'll be able to tell. I love this app. I use Time Nomad. It was a $5 edition. 21 hours and 54 minutes until the moon crosses into Taurus. So that's almost 24, right? So let's just go a full day. Oh, let's go back a few hours. I'm trying to see if the moon will be in Taurus when that exact conjunction happens. It will be. So at 2:02 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, the moon will be 0 degrees 3 minutes Taurus, while Mars is 6 degrees 42 minutes and Uranus is 6 degrees 44 minutes. So it will officially be in Taurus when that conjunction happens. The moon has been doing some really interesting things whenever I look at astrology. Like it was conjuncting the North Node on the 4th of November. Um, it was conjuncting Uranus when we had that full blue moon in Taurus. The moon, when we had that new moon in Aquarius, there was like an Aquarius and a Capricorn stellium. Anyway, I'm not gonna get too into it. The moon is moving into Taurus like tonight. In 20 whatever hours, I said. In roughly 20 something hours. So tomorrow, technically. Here, US time at least. Wow, I'm loving this. Okay. And again, I'm like kind of sort of skipping around. I just saw the word snake, so we're going to read this because we just came from Moses. The image of the card is inspired by the Mithras liturgy, a theurgical rite in which the magician aims to achieve union with Mithras. He is shown here as revealed to the magician, who has caused his soul to be lifted up, breathed in the sun's rays, and been given a vision of the visible gods. He has seen the sun's disk expanded and its gate opened so that he may travel through them, ascending beyond the visible realm to the cosmic realm, where Helios has appeared to him and led him to the gateway to Mithras, who finally appeared in full revelation. That's interesting because that reminds me of Elijah. I think it was Elijah in the Bible, who basically ascended the earthly plane without dying. And he had his disciple Elisha. It was Elijah and Elisha, right? And I think my knowledge on the book of Enoch is very, 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 very limited, girl. That was something that popped up on my radar a long time ago that I never really dived into. But I think the book of Enoch was written by Elijah, and Enoch had revealed himself to Elijah. Something about that ascension and light. I think Elijah was taken in light. I think I'm not sure. I could look it up, but I'm not gonna. I might do it later. No, I'm not. Anyway, this is also interesting because I was pulling some cards. I think it was the Sun card. When the Sun card came out and vice versa, like Helios popped into my mind. But I had like absolutely, hey, Bloomin' Rose. Oh, snap. Thank you. Thank you, Bloomin'. I was like, I'm pretty sure that was Elijah. How you doing, Bloomin' Rose? I hope you're well. Like Helios popped into my mind when I saw the Sun card, but I had like absolutely no context around it. That's why I didn't say anything. Sometimes I say something and I ramble until I find it, but I was just like, I have absolutely no context for Helios. And then I was like, I could look at heliocentric astrology, but well, here's Helios right here. Helios has appeared to him and led him to the gateway to Mithras, who finally appears in full revelation. There are also elements in the card taken from other representations of Mithras, including a bas relief from Medina, in which he is wrapped by a snake. This image appears in several places, with the ring of constellations around him. Here he is also rock born. representing the ascent of the soul from the earth and Mithras' power to offer it to initiates. He holds his traditional fiery torch and bears a gladius, the weapon of a Roman soldier, a sword. This Roman cult of Mithras, a solar cult and series of initiations that offer the soul ascension from the lunar realm, finds its natural place in the sun card of the tarot. For no other Greco-Roman cult do we have so much evidence for a focus on revelations and illumination. Mithras is the sun beyond the sun, the truth beyond the truth, the ultimate revelation, and the bliss that comes therefrom. I feel like I said something about capital T truth. Maybe it was with the sun card. And the retrograde appearance and the mention of the moon and also ascension, that's nodal energy. The nodes of the sun are the moon, nodes of the sun. The nodes of the moon all day long. And again, Rockborn, the moon looked like a rock sometimes. Did anybody see the moon last night? By the way, I was back here playing a game with my brother, and my mom like, Patrick. I'm like we hadn't started the next stage yet or whatever. And I'm like, I just got up to see what she wanted. She was like, have you seen the moon? I was like, no. I go outside. It's like literally from my door, I could see it. But I stepped outside anyway because it's cold outside and the door is like frosted because it's cold outside and it's glass. It was a crescent moon, but it was like the bottom part of the moon was crescented instead of like the left side or the right side. And the Threads of Fate has it has crescent moons all over the place in that deck. The Weaver Tarot. And I remember one day it was the bottom crescented moon, and I was like, the moon never crescents like that. But it did last night, and it was super bright. And I'm just like, does the moon do this? I'm like, what? Anyway, it was gorgeous. I tried to take a picture, but on my phone, like even when I adjusted the exposure, it was just like a blur of light. It was that bright. It was gorgeous though. So that's this, and then we end with the Four of Swords. This is interesting because this takes us through this ascension to find the eighth gate hidden deep within the sea of emotion, hidden deep in those scorpionic parts that we dare not tread. Girl, that's the depths of the moon, basically. Like Cancer is the top of the moon, Scorpio is the bottom of the moon, Pisces is the in between. But that's where that final gate lies. I feel like that's what Uranus and a lot of Pluto and Capricorn, all of this stuff that's making us face the reality in which we live in a way that honestly we would prefer not to face it. But if everything that is happening wasn't happening, we would never, our eyes would never really be open to it. And it also reminds me of Supernatural in one of the early seasons when there was the psychic lady and there was a spirit following Dean, and he was like, I'm trying to find out what it is. And dude was telling him, like, don't look at me, girl, avert thine eyes. And it was Castiel, an angel, and her eyes burned out of her skull because, she couldn't handle the radiance that was that angel. Now she, she was a little salty. It was her own curiosity at that point that had taken over to see what it was that was following him. But she got used to living sightless, and she had other senses. She was like a psychic or whatever. But it also reminds me of like other stories. It's like in the Bible, whenever you would see an angel, you'd be terrified because of whatever they appeared, whatever their appearance was. But also to see one in its full glory would like burn. It's so radiant that it would just like burn your eyeballs. Like we can't even really look at the sun directly without damage being done to our eyes. Imagine looking at a sun beyond the sun. It's like, girl, even a split second might be enough to just sear your eyeballs out of your skull. Oh, the image. Anyway, I guess I'm talking about all of that because, and look, there's the Five of Swords. There's another dude's amazed. It's like, oh my gosh. Because so he's holding the gladius. She's holding a gladius. And there's this little fire. Again, it's almost like that burning bush type energy. Hey, Zelda. How you doing? It's almost like that burning bush type energy. I guess it's an ascended soul, maybe. Because it feels like there's some capital T truth in this little fire that she's sitting next to. But it's not so much that she's like consumed by it. But maybe that's the. How are you, Zelda? Did I ask? I hope you're well. If I didn't ask, I'm sorry. Maybe that's the purpose of this series of seven, like a 7-step initiation with full revelation happening after the 8th gate. It's almost like training the body or the eyes to more and more and more light exposure so that by the time you get to a full Mithras, you can keep your eyeballs. It doesn't overload the system. And maybe that's why time is such an important factor. And even in this card, it's like we can see the dawn breaking beyond the clouds. As the sun rising or setting, it could be left open to interpretation. I'm saying it's rising. But we see the sun rising beyond the clouds in the back. And it's almost like the closer we get to that pinnacle in the water, that right now it's just a reflection. Like we don't even necessarily know if it's really there. And for a non-full energy, they would say, oh, that's just a reflection of the pinnacle in the water. But when you're that close to the water, you can tell if something is actually in the water or not. You can tell if it's just a reflection. Okay, work. See, time is important sometimes. Don't want to lose any precious organs or senses due to impatience. So let's look at this Four of Swords. I love this Four of Swords. This is probably one of my favorite Four of Swords cards. I just love the vibes. It says, I hope this one. The creative mind knows no end of trials and sorrows. Within its halls there are infinite doors, and not even the keenest mind can walk them all. Yet you, thinker, try. You let yourself fall through the mansion of your mind, often not knowing which way you are being led, tempted by this, coaxed by that, pulled in one direction and then another. All this is the necessary journey of those who perceive and express ideas. But you have come now unto my road, and it is dark and silent. No creatures of the imagination and phantasms of duty shall haunt you, nor shall the wildness of your mind send you howling through the forest, hunter and hunted at once. My blessing is that of peace, of the dark, waiting womb in which all things must gestate. My mystery is that of the greatest possibilities arising from the quietest mind. Stop for a moment and be still. Listen rather than think. It is here in the indefinable moment of absolute blankness that your mind can be free. It is here that the very heartbeat and lifeblood of the source of your ideas can be touched, heard, and felt. It nourishes and renews you, sustains you, and gives form to your ideas as a mother gives form to her child. Mine is the womb of mystery from which all possibilities grow. Mine is the mantle of darkness beneath which you might gestate your most precious of thoughts. I love this deck. I love these cards. Oh, because I feel like that's an energy that I've been talking about. Okay. So, After generating the initial seed of an idea in the Ace of Swords, extending it to its logical conclusion in the Two, and becoming aware of its consequences and the necessary pain that awareness brings in the Three, the Four of Swords offers an opportunity to rest. This rest is not necessarily a physical one, as it is not the body that has been tested by the journey thus far. Rather, the rest is a mental one, during which the silence of the mind's everyday worries, conclusions, tasks, and planning allows for the growth of new ideas, unhindered and secure. All the fours of the tarot have the power of manifestation, solidity, growth, and slow but certain progress. In the Four of Swords, this power becomes a womb of ideas and thoughts, a time for gathering one's thoughts and the gestation of inventions. It is the time taken out of being busy and trying to act that allows us to solve problems and see situations from a new perspective. It is the musings on a concept that give rise to a wealth of new ideas and applications. It is the silent, peaceful time before the flurry of activity required to express ideas. And the Five of Swords, I guess, is the flurry of activity that's required to express what was gained at the Four, after the Three, the Two, and the Ace. I What I really love about this is that it really carries this energy, especially after all of this. That again, it's like sometimes it's like we fear the unknown so much that we don't. Oh my gosh, is this applicable? Sometimes we fear the unknown so much that we don't allow ourselves to remove ourselves from what we need to be removed from. It's like when you know that you have a problem but you don't have a solution. So instead of doing anything to address the problem, you do nothing. And I think there's a lot of like, we don't know what the world is going to look like. We don't know what's going to happen after all of these systems fall apart. So we'd rather hang on to any semblance of this system that we have rather than be plunged into a chaotic lawlessness. But it's almost like if you remove yourself from the situation, do what you need to do from that Three of Swords, and it's like find solace in the fact that you've done what you needed to do to remove yourself from a place and space that is no longer for you. And then quiet your mind of all of the worry and anxiety. The path forward will be revealed to you. Those new groundbreaking ideas will come. And I was just talking to one of my friends about the job that I told you about, I'm pretty sure on here. And because one of my other friends was like, you could always take the job and then be looking for more work as you're looking. And then that way, at least you're making money. And she was like, yeah, but like, what if you're so, like, what if you give so, she basically, like, what if that's energy that you could be putting towards actually finding the right job? Because how often is it that we look for something new, but we're so tired or drained from the thing that's draining us that we don't even have the energy to put into getting that new thing? And so what's to say that that wouldn't be more detrimental to me getting where I'm going than it would be beneficial for a temporary in the moment, very, very real, you need money to live and eat and survive circumstances. But ultimately, it would get me further from where it is that I'm going and then leave me in a position that I don't even want to be in. But that becomes my life. Like that's how like feeble life is, even though earth is such a sturdy element. Like that's how we get trapped in quicksand that then solidifies into your life. I was doing it to make ends meet, and there was never not a need. And so I ended up dedicating more time and energy and effort. Ended up moving up the ladder in this realm, in this sector, in this area in which I have very little to no interest. I get no fulfillment out of it, but my needs grew. And so it's what I had to do in the moment. And that's how we get trapped. That's that's one reason why I never wanted to come home. Honestly, I was like, I don't want to get trapped here. I feel like so many people. I live in the type of town that a lot of people want to get out of. It's small. A lot of people want to explore the world, but circumstances happen and then they get trapped. That's why. Oh, yeah, I saw that card recently. It's the 5, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's one of the cards in the Archangel Power cards. Magical need or basic needs get fulfilled in magical and unexpected ways. I've seen that card recently. Okay, loving this. In the card image, a young woman rests by a fire she has built in the forest. It is nighttime, and the stars blaze in the sky above the tree canopy. By her side, sleeping, is a tame wolf, and dangling idly from her fingers is a quill pen. There is a full sheet of writing already completed beneath it, and she stares into the distance, deep in thought, possibly reflecting on what she has already written or considering the ideas she wishes to manifest next on paper. On a tree nearby is a wooden shrine to Freya. Shout out to Freya, girl. You just popped up recently, too. No, it was Frigg. Well, Frigg popped up, and then I think Freya came somewhere else. The goddess of magic, fertility, death, and beauty. We can imagine the peace, solitude, relaxation, and warmth that the scene depicts. Hear nothing but the gentle breeze through the trees and the crackling of the fire. Oh my gosh, I can hear it. Perhaps these, coupled with the even breathing of her animal companion, lull the woman into a meditative state, trance like, in which the flames of the fire take shape and the stars above become tapestries of stories. The woman is a writer, a skald. Her role is to keep histories, tell stories, and perpetuate sagas. It is her words, both spoken and written, that inspire others to greatness and express the important values by which her people live. Her mind must always be full of the weight of this great responsibility, of tales and facts, history and names, new ways of telling a tale, and methods of holding an audience. The wolf that sleeps by her side represents this whirlwind of thoughts, this wild mind, made calm and tranquil. The darkness of the forest represents the subconscious and the quiet mind into which the woman is able to sink. It is womb like and peaceful. How many times is womb going to pop up between the last two cards? The sun and the four of swords. Yet teeming with life, just as the quiet mind is teeming with possibility awaiting birth. We are reminded that it is often in this kind of environment, dark and quiet, that our own minds become relaxed and reflective. In our modern world, it can be difficult to seclude ourselves, surround ourselves with the natural world, and find a place that is truly quiet. Instead, we naturally surround ourselves with a constant influx of new information and attention grabbing technology that, while useful, also distracts and can burden the busy mind. It's interesting that it's like the power of quiet, dark can either soothe a mind or send it spiraling into depression, anxiety, fear, worry, chaos, and all of one's worries and woes and things of that nature, right? Existential dread. It can invite existential dread. And it's also interesting that we're born in the dark, or we grow in the dark, born into the light, but then we fear the darkness. And it's almost this like we fear the immensity of our own potential and power. But that's not necessarily a new or revolutionary thought. I know there is a quote, it's something like, what if like what we truly fear is how great and wonderful and powerful we actually are. I know it was mentioned in Aquila and the Bee. I've recently seen the quote somewhere else. I can't remember it. I'm not going to look for it. But that's essentially the case. Like, what if that's what we're actually afraid of? Okay. That's all Revelation. I guess that's it. So yeah, this is the Tarot Apocalypsis. I love this thing. I'm loving these already. It's very much my vibe. Oh, the Sun card still out. What's at the top of the deck? I'm curious. Top of the deck is the Three of Cups. Girl, why somebody head on a stick? It's a mask. The masks are off. Oh. So one of these women, there's a liar at the bottom. Two of the women are holding masks on sticks. One of them, it doesn't look like she is. And then there's a statue of a dude look like at the top. Girl, why does look like these ladies just throwing themselves on this man? I'm sure that's not the imagery that this card is supposed to invoke. But I was like, why is there a head on the stick? I was like, oh, that's a mask. There's some masks in there. And then there's a liar at the bottom. And then there's a lady who's just like, I don't think she's holding a mask. While these other two, like one cup, one mask. Masks are off, though. And I guess sometimes it takes one person living in their truth and authenticity to inspire others to do the same. Cutting to justice, giving me Egyptian vibes, but I can't remember her name. The green is almost reminding me of what's her name? I think it starts with an H. I can't remember her name. But I know it shouldn't be her. What was her name? Turquoise and malachite are her colors. Hathor or Hathor. That's what it was. I was like, I know that ain't Hathor, but I guess I'll go see. I'll check real quick. Let's look for justice. Excuse me. There's a sun. There's a star. Death. Getting closer. Hangman. Justice. The ancient Egyptian concept of Ma'at. So yeah, it is Ma'at. That makes sense. Oh, girl, duh. Did I not look at what was in the scales? The heart and the feather? Excuse me. Things finally balancing out, and then the chariot and the Nine of Pentacles. There's that Nine of Pentacles again at the cut. Let's get a final message. Some of these are sticking a little bit. Honestly, I got these off of Amazon, and I saw on one of the reviews that the quality would be better if you bought it through something else. Feels a little cardboardy, like back in the day when there'd be like little cardboard cutouts or whatever, like that. But hey, they'll work. They'll work. And like one of the ribbons tore, girl. I was like, should I just get over it, or should I be like, this thing broke? And it's like, well, how important is it really? And it's like, well, oh, I wasn't gonna take it, but we'll take it. What's this one? The Five of Cups. Oh, this is one of the most tragic, painful Five of Cups moments, cards that I have seen. I feel like there's not usually this much grief depicted on the person's face. Like, look at that. Mm. Bottom of the deck is the Ten of Swords. Things were going so well today. I'm honestly like over messages like this, but that's fine. Mm. Wait. Oh. So Valkyries have also been a thing lately. Valkyries also came to mind earlier throughout the course of reading one of those cards. I don't remember. But here's the Ten of Swords. It's and I was like, wait, but there's a woman there. And she's like pulling his soul out of his body. And it makes me think of the crucifixion and wondering if, like, before the final blow was struck, if maybe, or I think it was a thing for somebody else, but like someone's soul being liberated from their body so that they don't feel it. But I think for Jesus, like the point was that he was supposed to feel it. So, Five of Cups, Ten of Swords. We have Judgment, the King of Swords, and Death. Oh, okay. Well, I just saw the Death card. And I was like, oh, giving me a little bit of Day of the Dead vibes, maybe, because of the skull, but maybe not. And now it came out. And there's another wolf here in the King of Swords. There's actually a few wolves here in the King of Swords. This is Odin. So the wolves, it's not, who are they? One of them was Fenrir, one of them was Fafnir. I think Fenrir was the wolf, but that speaks of eclipses. And the sun card mentioned something about equinoxes. Now, Judgment, there's a bunch of naked people. Ooh, girl, somebody got their wings. Maybe some people learn how to fly. This is such an interesting Judgment card. Because it's like there are some people like languishing. Is that a word? I feel like it's a word. Let's ask Siri. Hey Siri, define languished. It's
Of a
3:33.
person or other living thing. Lose or lack vitality. Grow weak or feeble.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear the remaining one?
It's 3:33. Oh, I'm trying to get it so that that don't pop up. 3:33. A. Also, Astro Matrix said the sun is in Aquarius. Oh snap! Did we just slide into Aquarius season? I was looking at the transits earlier and I didn't even notice. Yeah, we're officially in Aquarius season. Look at that new Aquarius stellium between the Sun, Saturn, Jupiter, and Mercury. Oh, well, Venus is going to conjunct Pluto. And then the moon will make its rounds. I feel like Pluto might. Why do I feel like Pluto is about to get real lonely in Capricorn? Because after Venus passes it, the only thing that's going to be hitting Pluto and Capricorn is going to be the moon every month or so for a minute. I don't know if Mars is going to hit Capricorn before the next Capricorn season. So let's go a year from now. We'll go a year from now. Wow, a year from now, Venus will be retrograde in Capricorn and it'll still be Capricorn season. It'll be 29 degrees Capricorn still. So it'll be much later in the day when we go into Aquarius season. But Mars is going to be in Sagittarius at that point. So yeah, Mars isn't going to hit Pluto until after that. So Pluto's going to be real lonely in Capricorn for a little bit. I feel kind of sad, but I feel like a lot of people would like that. Anyway, Judgment, the King of Swords, and Death. This, though, see, like in this Judgment card, we see people at the top that are like arms lifted up, being raptured. Somebody already took off, and it looked like they're flying. We see somebody making their way to the top, and then some people closer to the water, like languishing in despair and things of that nature. We also see somebody washed up on the opposite shore. Like, I ain't dead yet. And that's the person who's like, fly like an eagle. There's an eagle again. This, honestly, it feels like that's what this Ten of Swords person becomes. The Ten of Swords becomes this King of Swords after this process. But there's a journey into the underworld here. It's very Dante's Inferno. It feels like, honestly, it feels like there's a feminine energy who is like mourning a masculine energy because the masculine energy has gone somewhere that she can't go. But the masculine energy is going through a process of significant transformation. So now we'll look and see where the Queen of Swords is. Oh, look, she's she's literally right there. Queen of Swords, literally right there, not too far behind, between the Queen of Pentacles and the Prince of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is behind that. Oh, this Nine of Swords look grand. Look at Dude in the Shadows. These cards are so vibrant and interesting. What's interesting about the separation is, oh, that's look at her face. You see that blue stripe in her face? On the Three of Cups, one of the girls, the girl off to the right side, she was holding up a mask that was blue at the top. But anyway, it feels like something better than what was expected is going to happen. But the process is going to be extra grueling. So it's not going to be easier, but the outcome is going to be better because of having gone through that. Now, that's not necessarily a final message. So I'll get one more. Just like one card and not like three. Hold up. Wait, what is this? Wait. Whoa. Hold up. What's all this? Oh, those are the cards I just put back. I just put them back wrong. I was like, whoa, hold up. Oh, look, there's the star. Gorgeous. Okay. And I don't know if that's necessarily like a DMDF or if it's just like maybe that was the energy of feminine and masculine overall. That masculine energy had lost its ability to cooperate with feminine energy, and in that space, feminine energy was doing very Queen of Swords things, like continuing to do what it is that she needed to do, and but on the inside, like mourning, but still needing to do what she needed to do. But now it's like after all of this craziness, masculine energy is going to be coming back in a big way, and it's like the queen is going to be looking at it as if it should be the prince, or she's expecting the prince because it was just at the Ten of Swords, but it's going to come back as a full-on king, like completely reborn after that transformation. Very Dante's Inferno. Okay. Like one card, please. This deck is like very much so my style. Okay. I'll give it three more. Okay. And a cut. Oops. Nope. See. Oh, girl. Oh, well, she came back out. She came back out. Five of Cups. Bottom of the deck is the devil. There's very much like the devil's in the details type of energy with the devil and the Five of Cups. Basically, however we perceive of the situation is going to be more aligned to the outcome that we get, and we can make things a lot worse by choosing to see things as a lot worse, and by choosing to focus on the negative, and by hanging on to basically a feeling of hopelessness. We can give into the dark. I don't think this ribbon was ever attached. It don't look like it was. um, and I know that that's not what the devil is in the details typically means, but it just feels like what we're choosing to focus on. And but that's very much so the Five of Cups. Like there are still two upstanding cups. All is not lost. There is still much to be grateful and appreciative of and for. But we choose not to see it because we'd rather, and that's the thing, and again I've been there. It's like we'd rather be fearful or miserable than we would to be basically in our power, I guess. I mean, that's eventually how it works out. And it's like, again, like, what if our fear is not that we're inadequate or not that we're not good enough? What if our fear is that we're actually greater than we're even possible of comprehending? So that's what I got. I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this, and I hope you're acting in alignment to make it even better. Because for those who believe, it's a time thing, kind of. You gotta hold the line until it comes in. So don't be wavering. If you waver, that's natural. It's fine. Don't waver too much. Find your way back to the light in a space of darkness. Like I said a while ago, when the world goes dark, shine brighter. And it's that learning how to shine in the midst of darkness that pushes us further and further and further, closer and closer to that final gate of meeting the Mithra beyond the Helios, the truth beyond the truth. Right? So that's what I got. I'll catch y'all when I catch y'all. This was very fun. I love this stuff.